Trump boxed in after blaming Iran for Saudi oil plant strike. The Trump administration sought to offer new evidence to back its claim that Iran conducted the attack on major Saudi Arabian oil facilities, saying the munitions used in the strikes were well beyond the capabilities of the Houthi rebels who claimed responsibility. The evidence put forward by several administration officials on Sunday, a day after Secretary of State Michael Pompeo said unequivocally in a tweet that Iran was to blame, suggested that the administration was sensitive to skepticism about its assertions as well as concerned that it may be trying to provoke a conflict with the regime in Tehran. Two administration officials who asked not to be identified discussing internal deliberations told reporters that cruise missiles may have been used in the attacks on a Saudi oil field and the world's biggest crude processing facility in Abqaiq. The range from Yemen was also far beyond anything the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels there have ever done before, the official said. A third administration official, who also asked not to be identified discussing non-public findings, said precision-guided munitions had been used. The US officials didn't rule out that armed drones were used as well, even as they rejected the Houthi claims that they mounted the attacks using such pilotless aircraft. Now, the challenge that President Donald Trump and his advisors face is balancing a tough response to what it says is a clear act of Iranian aggression, against concern that it is rushing headlong into a conflict that could spiral out of control. Analysts also warn that doing nothing could send a message to Iran or its proxy militias across the Middle East that they can strike their enemies with impunity. There's no great response here, said Aaron David Miller, senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. The question becomes, how does the US navigate between not allowing this precedent to stand on one hand and avoiding a punitive escalation, or one designed to deter future attacks without an escalation? And the answer is there is no answer. Trump tweeted on Sunday, "There is reason to believe that we know the culprit, are locked and loaded depending on verification, and that he's awaiting word from Saudi Arabia about who it believed caused the attack and under what terms we would proceed." Still, a direct US military response may be unlikely, according to the experts, who say they doubt Trump will be willing to use force against Tehran or risk escalating violence in the Middle East ahead of the 2020 presidential election. They also said the attacks may do little to deter the president from seeking a meeting with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani in an effort to broker a new nuclear agreement. Trump hasn't ruled out a possible meeting with Rouhani when both are in New York in a week for the annual United Nations General Assembly. The administration's maximum pressure stance against Iran is focused on imposing sanctions and isolating the country over its nuclear ambitions and malign activities in the region. That approach has come under renewed scrutiny at a time the president's foreign policy team is in flux, after Trump's firing of hawkish National Security Advisor John Bolton last week. US and Saudi officials say they're gathering more evidence that Iran was behind the attacks, some of it on the ground in Saudi Arabia, that will be released in due time. Iran's foreign ministry described Pompeo's comments blaming the Islamic Republic as blind and fruitless accusations. According to US government information, there were 19 points of attack at state-owned Saudi Aramco's crude processing facility at Abqaiq and the Quraysh oil field, all on the north or northwest-facing sides, suggesting that the weaponry used came from that direction. Iraq lies to the north, and the US in the past has accused Iran of stashing explosives with affiliated militias in the country. Yemen, by contrast, is hundreds of miles to the south. Saudi Aramco lost roughly 5.7 million barrels per day of output after the attacks, although officials cited progress in restoring production.